Okay. Hello everyone, how are we? Hope you're all okay. I hope you can hear me. We've got a few of you online, which is great. Let's see. Let me check that I am online. Oh, hi Valerie. How are you? So it looks like I am online. Am I live on Facebook or just YouTube? Let's have a see. Lisa Horton Crafts. Who's that? Oh, great. Oh yeah, I'm on YouTube as well, and I'm on Facebook as well. Perfect. That's okay. Let's get going there. Hi, Carol. How are you? You got nice weather in Kent today. Oh, that's brilliant. Doesn't that make a change? Doesn't that make a change? It's raining here. I think we've had intermittent weather here, I must admit. Lots of rainbows. I remember lots of rainbows over the last couple of days, which means we've had a lot of sun, we've had a lot of rain, sort of backwards and forwards. So let's move my hands off there. You don't want to see them. Okay. Oh, we've got a few people coming in now. That's perfect. The chats are a little bit slow today. Oh, there we are. We've got Patricia. Hello. And Julie. Brilliant. Lovely to have you here. Okay, let's get going, shall we? Oh, hi guys. How are you? God, it's been a while since I've seen you on my live as well, so it's great to have you here. Right. Apologies, I've got a plaster on my finger. I was busy yesterday. Well, you wouldn't believe it. I was busy doing flat pack furniture yesterday. You should see the rest of the house is an absolute mess. We've got boxes and bits and pieces everywhere. We're upgrading my youngest's bedroom from a young teenager to a young adult, and it's looking great, but we've got stuff everywhere. But my injury didn't come from that. That came from cooking dinner afterwards and slicing onions. Anyway, you wouldn't stop bleeding, so I thought I'd best cover it over today. Okay, perfect. Hey, good work allows you to join. Right, shall we get going then? Right. Today I'm using the nested petals. I've been itching to get my hands on this set. It's a gorgeous set. I've loved everything that everybody has made. Oh, we've just got Rebecca come up. It says I haven't come up on YouTube yet. Oh, I'm scheduled to come up on YouTube. I don't know why that's not working. If I'm showing elsewhere, there must be a little bit of a delay in the connection. I'm wondering. Oh no, I can see on there. We are on YouTube. That's okay. We're all good. Yes, I've been itching to get my hands on these nested petals. I've loved what the rest of the design team have done with these, so I really wanted to give these a go. I'm also going to be using the Tulip Bouquet, just because I haven't used this one yet either. I've got so many different bits and pieces that I need to actually get myself using, and when I finally get back to like full-time crafting again, which is once I've sorted all the bedrooms out and this, that and the other, we will get there. But I'm also thought I'd give these another outing, the Spring Foliage. I love this set. It's a shame that it's being retired. So although it's being retired, it doesn't mean that you can't carry on using it in your craft rooms, for those of you that have that. But if you don't have this and you want it, now is a really good chance to get this, because it's on at a brilliant price on Lisa's website. As is this set, one of Lisa's Spellbinders collaborations. In this set, you get the wording here, the smile, and this particular sentiment, it's your birthday. But if you turn this over, you get the 3 dies to die cut the word smile, and if you want to, you can use the 2 matte layers to embellish that. And you also get these 5 sentiments here, so it looks good on you. It's your special day, smile, it's the best medicine, it's your birthday, and you make me smile. So this is on a really good price as well. Again, I think it's another one that Lisa said is going to be retired if you watched her Friday Night Live. So it's a real shame. But if you want this, say now's a good time to get it. Obviously, if you have this, it doesn't mean that you can't carry on using it. It probably means that you're unlikely to see us using it sort of on lives and things again. But it might show up occasionally on some of the design team samples, because we have our favourites as well. You know, things we just like to carry on using. Who's that? Oh, we've got Linda from South Dakota. Hi, Linda. You're on YouTube. That's brilliant. Thanks so much for joining us. So I'm going to give all of these a go today. And also I have got all of Paula's, let's see if I can bring these in, all of Paula's inks as well. I've got them all out in front of me, all 10 of them. I don't know which ones I'm going to use yet. I think quite likely, definitely these ones, because I really love the look of them. I've swatched them briefly this morning. I really need to get myself using Paula's die sets as well to swatch them out. I just haven't had the chance, but I love the look of Albers Ochre there as well. That's really soft colour. So let's get going, shall we? I've got an idea of what I'm going to do in my head, so let's hope it pulls together. Right, I've also had a delivery of Lisa's like tentfold cards as well. Hi Sharon, how are you? Many of us are not getting you on YouTube. Oh, that's strange, Rebecca. I can saw myself on YouTube. Linda's here on YouTube. Oh, Beverly can't get me on YouTube either. I wonder why. I can see the connection, and I can see that I'm connected to it up there. There's not a huge amount I can do from this end, I don't think. Let me just have a quick look on YouTube, just check. Maybe it's a connection thing. No, I'm showing. Oh, there's only 9 watching on YouTube. Yeah, that would make sense why that's perhaps not. As you can hear, I've got that connected. Unless there's a little bit of a delay going on there. Okay. You found me though. I can see familiar names, so you're finding me on Facebook, so that's great. Okay, so as I said, I've got Lisa's tentfold card. I had a delivery of that, and I've also got a delivery of a Ish card as well. So that's what I'll be using today. So I've got one of her. I say it's a card blank. It's ready to be folded because there's no score line down there. So I'm going to do that now. Now I also have Lisa's new super duper scoreboard, because I did have one. I had the Hoogie board before, the green one, which although it's green, it's not Lisa's green, of course. And it's really nice to have this one. So now I've got the opportunity to use this. So I'm going to take one of the tentfold pieces of card, and these are available in packs of black and white on Lisa's website. So I'm just going to score this on half. So we have 11 inches, so we need to go at 5.5. So I'm going to score that there. And what I really like about this one too, I really like the folder that we have here. It's not a bone folder, but it's that ilk. I really like the folder. This is a really nice matte finish, so it's not too slidey. So this one feels really nice in your hand to use as well. So I'm going to score that. There will come a time, actually, I will use this to make boxes as well. So we've got the folder, and this slips into the thing at the back, which is great because I'm forever losing my folders. So that goes into a really secure holder just at the back there. But as I say, I'll do another live just on the scoreboard another time. Okay. So I've also taken the second piece of the tent fold card, and I've actually run this through with the Spring Foliage embossing folder, because this is how I want the front of the card to look. I could have embossed the front of the card blank directly. You can do that by putting it into the embossing folder, and excuse me, more fingers and thumbs actually. You can do this by putting this directly into the embossing folder and lining up your scored edge on the center of your card blank with the opening edge of the embossing folder, and run that through your machine like that, and you would have scored your card blank directly. So I could have done it like that. I didn't this time around because I wanted to create an extra layer, and I also want to colour tint it as well. So I've embossed the second piece, and I will glue this onto the card blank. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to cut this down to size now. So I'm just offering it up to the front of the card blank, just holding it in place and lining it up in the trimmer. Again, I've got Lisa's trimmer. And do you know what? I'll go back to the painting again. My youngest is 18 now. And so he wants a young adult's room, and it looks so smart. I'm really excited to see it all come together, but you wouldn't believe the colour that he chose to put on his walls. It's actually worked out. It's darker than this. It's a real olive colour. It's probably more this colour, but yeah, it's green. It's so on brand with Lisa, and I didn't influence him at all. But yeah, we've just spent Saturday painting 2 of his walls this colour. It looks so smart with the wardrobes that are going up against it as well. It looks brilliant. But anyway, I digress. So we've actually got this piece left over, and isn't that pretty? I might actually use this partially embossed to go on another card, so keep a lookout for that as well. Yeah, I actually like the look of that. So I'm going to keep that to one side. I will definitely use this. But we have our piece of embossing that can go on the front here. I'm just quickly catching up with your comments there. So we've got a few more people now. Hi, Hannah. Hi, Patricia and Carol. Hi, Mum. How are you? Lorraine as well. Looks like there's a few people struggling with YouTube. I can only apologise. That's not something that I can do from this end. It looks like I've made the connection, and I can see myself on YouTube, and I think a few other people can see it. So I don't know. That's just one of those things, I'm afraid. I'm pretty sure that even though a few of you are having a few issues with YouTube now, I'm pretty sure that it will save with no problem on YouTube. So if you do want to go back, or if you missed the beginning because you're waiting on YouTube, if you go back onto YouTube later on, I'm pretty sure it will save okay on there. But yeah, it looks like you've all found me on Facebook now because the numbers have come back up. Perfect. So as I say, I've embossed this, and this is going to be the front of my card blank. So I just want to colour tint this, but I'm going to get my piece of ish card, which is the A2 ish card. So I don't need to cut this, but this is going to matte and layer perfectly onto the front of this. So I'm going to cover up most of that embossing, but I will colour tint it. So I'm just putting the piece of ish card onto the top, just so as I can see how much of the embossing I do need to colour tint, because there's no point colour tinting the whole piece if you're going to cover most of it up. So I think I'm decided I'm going to use the ochre for this colour. So I'm only using the inks Picked by Paula because I haven't had a chance to use them before now. So that's one very good reason. And I don't like having an ink in my collection that I haven't used. So this is a good chance to use them. And obviously Paula's picked these for a reason. They all work as a palette together. So I thought it'd just be really nice. I've got a grey rainy day here. I'm pretty sure maybe one or two of you in the UK will have as well. So let's brighten the day up. So I'm using the Pro Blend brush as well, because I want a nice soft blend. I've not used these inks before, so I just want to have a little bit of control over what we're doing. And I'm just going to use Albers Ochre, which is, it's such a pretty colour. It's a real, I don't know, it's hard to describe it. It's not yellow. What I'll do, I'll bring this in. This isn't just a very quick swatch that I've done this morning. You can see Georgia Moss, we've got a yellow there, and we've got the Albers Ochre. It's such a soft, buttercuppy yellow. I can't think of a way to describe it, but it's definitely not yellow. It's yellow with a hint of peach in it. It's so, so pretty. And using these Pro Blend brushes gives me a chance to put this onto the card really, really softly. I don't want it to overpower at this stage. And also by doing this, you've got the subtlety and the gentleness from the Pro Blend, which really picks up your embossing beautifully as well. So you can see by working onto the messy mat, it also means that I can use the messy mat as a palette and pull the ink from the mat onto the cardstock as well. So I was watching Lisa's live, and a couple of questions for Lisa came in as well. So you struggle, a few people struggle blending, and as Lisa said there, and it's something that you always it's almost a mindset when you start blending with inks. You have to not start blending on the paper. You always start blending on the surface that you're working on. So always make sure that you're working either onto something like a messy mat or a piece of this is like stencil material. This Lisa made these years and years ago when she first started. This is also what I use, and you can see it's like stencil material. It's, you need something non-porous really to start blending on the side of. Go around in really light circles on your surface and then pull the ink onto the card. By working onto a surface like this first, what you're doing, you're distributing the ink evenly onto the bristles, so you don't get that initial splodge directly onto your cardstock. And that's how you can start gaining the confidence in creating a really smooth blend. Now the colour isn't building up really fast with this, but that's because I'm using this Pro Blend brush, which has very open bristles. They are really densely packed, but because of the length of them and the size of the brush, they're a lot more open than something like the other stencil brushes, which because they're stubbier, they create a bolder colour. So these are a really nice way to start blending as well, to start your blending journey, just to give you that confidence. If you want these to give you a concentrated colour, then you can hold the brush further down into the bristles. It compacts the bristles all the more, and then you will get a more denser colour if these are the only brushes that you have. So there we are. We've worked all the way around there. I've just given a really nice subtle blend, which in itself, I mean, I'm going to cover the rest of that up, which seems almost a shame, but we've got to let go of these concepts, I think, sometimes. Otherwise, we'd never get anything made, would we, when we're crafting? It's a shame to cover up paper, and it's a shame to cut into it. And I think if we lived by that, we'd never make anything, would we? Because we are all very precious about all the things that we collect and use. But I'm just going to wipe that ink away. There we are. So we've created that. And we're going to have our piece of ish card, which is now going to sit on top, and you can see how subtle that blend was, and it's just going to lift everything that I'm going to put onto this section here. So I'm going to glue I'm going to glue that into place now. Because this is embossed, you won't have an issue sticking it to the card, but because it's embossed, you might find that you need to put a little bit more glue or adhesive onto it, and it just need to stick just for that little bit longer to get a really good adhesion. So again, if you are new to card making and you are trying to stick a piece of embossed card, that's just something just to bear in mind. Because it's embossed, you're reducing the surface area that you can add the glue onto. So that hopefully will just explain it if you're perhaps having issues adhering a piece of embossed card. I've just noticed my chair's really squeaky. I'm going to have to sit still. I hope that's not annoying you too much. Okay, so I've put that to one side, and I'm going to bring in the ish card now. So this is creating the mat that's going to sit onto here. And this is where I'm going to be using the petals. Okay, let's put that there. So the nested petals. What I've done, I've already die cut these ones. So let me just bring these out. You get so much for your money in all of these nested sets. Actually, you get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, at least 9. Well, you get 9 dies in this one. You'll possibly, depending on the shape, you'll get at least 9, possibly 8, depending on the shape in the other sets. But you get as much as can be fitted into one of these A6 envelopes, packaging envelopes from Lisa. She won't do you out of any. I want to use this shape to create a background on my ish card here. So I have chosen one of the smaller sizes of the nest. So yeah, it's that one there. So this is, let me say, the third smallest. Battery's just gone there. Let's just change that over. Okay, that's fine. Okay, so that's the third smallest die, and I thought I'm going to create a background with this. So I've die cut quite a few, say 4. And what I want to do is glue them onto this background here. I did toy with the idea of whether I would actually colour tint this piece of card or the actual card blank, but I went with the card blank for this one. So I'm going to glue these onto a white card blank. So make sure I get these the right way round. That goes there, that goes there, that goes there. So I can fit 4 onto this piece of A2-ish card. So put the top and bottom one first. Then that gives you the chance to space out these centre ones appropriately. That chair is really annoying. I'm going to have to get the oil out later, the WD-40, I think. So I'm going to put that one there. And I'm going to put this one here. Let's just move that across a little bit. So I'm doing this white on white. I made the decision not to use any colour cardstock with anything that I'm using today. If any colour that I do want, I will use the inks to colour that with. So, but you can, of course, cut these from colour cardstock or pattern cardstock. That would be another lovely way to create this background. Now what you can see I'm doing here, I cut a further 2 of these petals just to fill in this section here. So it's almost like a patchwork. So I'm just filling this across. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to take my scissors, and you can either use scissors or you can use a trimmer. I'm using my large trusted scissors here and just snipping that off so this fits within the size of the ish card. And then I'm going to use these pieces to fill in the gaps there. Yeah, that works. I was hoping they'd work. So I can glue those into position. That one's slightly larger actually, isn't it? If you find that that doesn't necessarily work, then you can of course just cut an extra 2 petals and make them fit onto the sides, but I think that works okay. Just line that up to the edge there. There we are. So we have that really nice background which can then sit on to the front of here. There's quite a lot going on this today. So that's how I've used those petals. Again, if you look at the design team, a lot of the design team have used them as actual card blanks. They've rearranged them to form petals of a flower, as the name would suggest. There's so much that you can do with these. So what I'm going to do on this section now, just to give these this layer just a little bit of interest, I've brought in my Ultimate, because as well as the embossing folder for this spring foliage set, we also have the layering stencils. So this particular set of layering stencils, we only have 4. I say we only have 4. If you know Lisa's layering stencil sets, some of them can have up to 9, 10, 11 layers of stencils, but say this one has 4. What I'm going to do, I am going to layer up or just position my cardstock underneath so it sits under a lot of these patterned elements here. Now, this is probably something that you won't have seen done before. I don't think I've done it before. I'm actually going to work through these layering stencils and build up the spring foliage pattern, but because you've seen me layer layer another of the petals on top of a piece of cardstock, it will be that when I stencil this, I'm going to go really light because I don't want this to overpower when I put one of the tulips on the front. It will only catch the top layer of the petals and not the layer behind because of the way that works. I'm not explaining myself very well, but let me just stencil this first layer in. I'm only going to do it with Agnes Grey because I want this to be quite subtle in the background. So when I take this stencil away, that's incredibly subtle. My other camera isn't working, but can you see that only the stenciled areas are actually appearing onto the decoupaged areas and not on the background, which is exactly what I wanted. Now, what we could have done, we could have stenciled the this spring foliage flat onto a piece of ish card, and then we could have taken our dies and die cut, but then I think it would have actually been more awkward to piece them together so the spring foliage underneath is coherent. So doing it this way, you are only stenciling on those higher pieces of card unless you really want to push with some force into the in-between areas. But this way you get a cohesive pattern of the spring foliage. Now, it probably doesn't matter quite so much with the spring foliage because of the way that the leaves work. But if you wanted to try this with perhaps a bouquet of flowers, then obviously you'd need all pieces and all of the die-cut petals to piece together as a puzzle to make the image quite complete. Now, also, what I can be mindful of when I'm stenciling is because I can see through this stencil, I can see where the petal die cuts are. So I can just keep my ink and my brush working onto those petal die cuts there and not go in between the layers. Again, I could if I wanted to. That will create a slightly different look. You'd have a far fainter image being stenciled onto the ish card that the petals are stuck onto. But again, that's entirely up to you. But I think this way it would actually is going to work out quite nice. So that is really, really subtle. Hopefully you can see that there. I'm not sure why the camera is working. Let me just see if I can put that. Oh, there we go. Let me see if I can bring you down to, there we go. Can you see how subtle that is appearing? And the ish card underneath doesn't have any stenciling on underneath it. So I'm just using one colour. I'm continuing using the Agnes Grey, and I'm just layering it up. Perhaps slightly different intensities of colour, perhaps putting more ink on this particular layer because there's less to work through. So I'm not going to have too many bold areas. But if you can see that, so you can see, although I'm only using the one colour, you do still get that level of depth of the layering going on, which is one of my favourite things to do with the stenciling. I'm really going to have to swap this chair over because I can really hear that squeaking. So I'm on to the fourth layer now, the fourth and last stencil of this set. So I'm just going through and just picking out all of the apertures, the areas of the stencil that are sitting on top of the die cut petals, so I can just complete that image like so. Now I'm doing this subtly because I want to put a die cut tulip on top of this, so I want this to sort of be quite subtle in the background. But if you were going to try this, and perhaps I will try this with this technique on another card, then absolutely go bold with this stenciling. But there we go, we can see that that is there. If I hold that still, you can see that these back areas are still clear and you only have the stenciling on the die cuts there. Now that in itself I think is really pretty. Perhaps if you wanted to do more of a sympathy type card, something a lot more subtle, then that's a really nice technique to do as well. So let me swap you over onto that top. So if you wanted to do that and just perhaps put a sentiment on there, then I think that works absolutely beautifully. I think that is so pretty. Again, I've done that really subtly, but if you imagine if you've done that either monochrome or with other colours and even sitting that on top of there, I think that works so well. So you've got this hasn't been embossed, but you do have the continuity with the embossing in the background. So that I think works in itself as a card, and actually I'd be quite tempted just to leave that like that, to be honest. The colours are actually gorgeous. The Agnes Grey from Paula has a brown undertone to it as well, which is why it works so well with that soft Albers Ochre. It's such a pretty look. I really, really like that. So, oh, hi Helen, how are you? You can't hear your squeaky chair. Perfect. That's good, because I can, and it's driving me mad, to be honest. So I'm definitely getting the oil out afterwards and getting that sorted. But as long as you can't hear it, that's okay. The ish card, yes, the ish card can be found on Lisa's website, and yeah, it's the first time I'm using it. But basically, what it does, it is slightly smaller, as Donna has probably already explained. It's slightly smaller than the size that it's listed as. So you'd have 6x6 ish card, but it's slightly less than 6x6, which means it can be layered onto a 6x6 card blank, and you don't have to fiddle around with the cutting down and the mats and layers. But that, actually, I'd be so inclined just to leave that like that. I actually really like that. Anyway, I did say I was going to use the tulips, so I shall bring the tulips in. I've already die cut these. Where are they? There we are. So this is the tulip set that I'm working with. This is quite a recent release, actually. So it's a tulip bouquet. I love the tulips that Lisa's brought out in the past, but then they get sold out so quick, or they're retired. So I haven't had much of a chance to use them. So this comes as one die in effect. The tabs between them are too thick, I would say, to cut. So cut them out all in one. Cut it out a couple of times with the green to give the petals and the stalks, and then a couple of times to get the whichever colour flowers you want. But as I say, I've chosen not to use coloured cardstock today. I shall be colouring everything. So I've die cut this in white. So I shall pop the rest of these out. I shall make the decision on how much I use. I might only just put one tulip on there, actually. So they're the stems. So I shall colour the leaves and the stems first. And I think I might only put one tulip on here. I don't think it warrants any more than that. So let me decide which flower I'm going to use, and you can see how the flowers are formed by looking at the packaging that we have here. So we can use these two layers, and that gives us one flower. We have got, what else have we got? We can use this layer and this layer, and that can give us another layered flower. And then these two layers can give us another bloom there. So in effect, from one die cut, you can create 3 flowers, because we also have 3 stems. We have 3 stems, and then we have 6 flowers. So yeah, from one pass of your die cut, you can actually create 3 flowers. So you can create the bouquet, which is more than enough. But obviously, if you wanted to create something really exuberant and extravagant, die cut it however many times you want, and then obviously that will increase in multiples of 3. So I think I'm going to use this flower. So I should got my stalk, and then I might use 3 leaves, actually. 1 flower and 3 leaves. So I'm going to move those out the way so I don't get distracted. So obviously we're going to be using the green. So we have Hopper Emerald here. And let's bring it in. I do have a Pro Blend brush as well. So I think what I might do initially, I shall pick up the green and just start blending the leaves with the Pro Blend, because that I know gives me a really soft blend. So I will get that initial colour, but very soft colour going on the leaves. So the reason I like to do that, I really do like to build up the colour gradually, and these brushes do allow you to do that, because you get that soft colour and then you can build upwards. Because possibly what I'll do, I shall come in and darken some areas of these leaves with some green, but I think I might bring in a second colour. I think I might bring in, I don't know, either a blue colour just to start some shading. Okay, that's actually working up really nice. These are so soft that they work so well, and actually we should do the stem as well, shouldn't we? Okay, now I can bring in the brush, and I'm going to use no, that's not that one. Let's not use the wrong colour. So I'm going to use also what is sitting on the mat as well, and start intensifying that colour. This Hopper's Green, actually, again, I haven't used this before, and looking at the packaging, it looks really sort of bold and bright, but it's such a fresh spring green, I would say. It's a little bit lighter than a grass green, but it could definitely work for grass and foliage, of course. But it does have a freshness, a real spring colour to it, actually, which I think works with the rest of the palette. So Paula knew what she was doing when she was creating these, of course. But say it's the first time that I've used these, so I need to get familiar with what these colours can do for me. I'm quite familiar with the rest of the other releases, but this is the first time they've actually had a good chance to play with these. So that's pretty much what you're seeing me do now, actually. So if I do go quiet, apologies, it's because I've really got myself engrossed in what's happening here. So what I'm trying to do also, I've decided that these are the tops of the leaves, and therefore these are the bases, the bottom of the leaves. So I'm going to make the bases of these look darker, so you can see me sort of concentrating. Oh, my plaster really gets in the way there. You can really see me concentrating on sort of building a more intense colour at the base of these. And I think to accentuate that, I'm going to bring in a blue. I'm going to do this really gently. Am I going to do the blue? Yes, I am. Okay, I'm going to do this really gently. So I'm going to pick up just a tiny bit of the blue. I'm going to blot that out over here, and then I'm going to bring it onto my leaf. So obviously I don't want a really big blue splodge on the leaf. So that is the advantage of working onto one of these blending mats, whatever it is that you're happy working with. It really diffuses the ink into your brush before you put this onto your die cut. So you can see there I'm working the blue onto the base of these leaves, which it's quite subtle, but it has just changed the hue of that little bit, and you can see that the base of those are a lot darker. And I'm going to do the same with the stem, which is going to sit under the flower head. So I'm just going to work it onto the top of the stem there. So it's basically creating that little bit of shadow. I'm not going to overdo that. So for that I used the Hokusai Navy. Apologies to anyone if I'm pronouncing these wrong, or even to Paula, because I think these are, oh dear, they've gone on the floor. Because I think these are artist names, haven't they? A few of them I haven't heard of. Oh, Helen, you're here as well. This is a really pretty one. I think this is my favourite one. It's called Helen Teal. So it's favourite of mine in a couple of ways. Not only because it's my favourite colour. Okay, so let's get rid of that. I will put the colours that I've used specifically in the notes on the video a little bit later on, so you know what I've used. So the blend on the leaves there was Hopper Emerald and Hokusai Navy. If you're perhaps taking notes, or if you're wondering about blends to try, so that's how the leaves have come out. The navy I've used very sparingly, so it obviously doesn't appear blue on the leaves. So now we have the flowers. Let me bring in the card that we have here. I was hoping for a really nice spring look, and I think we are definitely heading that way with the colours that we have. They work so well, don't they? So I think what I might do, I'm going to use as many inks as I can today, to be honest with you. I think that's what I have in my head. So I think today I'm going to do Georgia Moss, so the yellow, and I'm going to highlight it with the Gauguin Grapefruit, the orange, basically. Now these colours are coming, I don't know, actually quite a fair representation from what I can see on my screen with the colours. So I think that would work really nicely with the blend we have in the background there. So Georgia Moss, which is a really vibrant yellow. This colour here. So if you look at this, the way that this flower is layered, we want to have, I think, yellow definitely prominent in the front. So I'm going to do this front layer in the yellow. I always work, when I'm colouring and tinting flowers like this, I always work from the base and I work upwards. For me, particularly, I mean, I only speak for myself with this, but it's perhaps a good starting point for you if you are new to this or wondering where to start. I always work from the base upwards because I like the base of my flowers or my leaves to have more colour than the tops. Now, obviously, if you go into the garden, there are going to be flowers that go opposite to this. So it's entirely up to you the way that you do this. But majority of the time, I do like to have the base, say, of the flowers or the leaves to be darker. And then I work with what's left on my brush upwards to the tip of the petal or leaf. So that gives me a really nice sort of a graduated look. I'm going to do the same actually with this one at the back, but I will highlight this one at the back with orange, I think, as well, slightly more. So again, work to be deeper at the base. You can work the other way. It would actually look beautiful if you worked the other way, if you made the tip of the flowers or the leaves darker and work down towards the center to be lighter. But I'm just working with what I have left on the brush just to tint the top of that flower there. And then I'm going to come in with the orange, which is like the grapefruit colour. And I thought, I know I said on the front that I would be using the stencils, and I use stencils a lot in lots of different ways. And the way I'm going to use it on this one, say this is the stencil deck, apologies, I should say, tiny stencils. So this is from the stencil deck. They don't actually go back in the box now, to be honest. They just sit on my desk ready to be used at any little opportunity. And the way I'm going to use it today is to create a little bit of patterning on the flower. Again, you don't have to do this. You can just highlight the flower with extra colour by using your brush and bringing it in that way. Okay, I'm just picking up a little bit, and you can see how pretty that grapefruit colour is. It's so subtle, and you can add that, and it layers beautifully over the top of the yellow. So if I put that on there, you can see how the colour is changing. But like that, it's acting almost like a shading colour. But some flowers, I think some tulips as well do now, even have markings on there. If you want to try and recreate that, but obviously you'd struggle to do that delicately with perhaps a brush, you can use a stencil. And I'm just using this random, I don't know, I suppose you'd call this a camouflage pattern, I suppose, like an animal print. And there's some areas here have small holes. I'm just going to use those, and I'm just going to come in really gently and just use those areas just to add a little bit of interest onto the back layer of the petal there. It's going to be really subtle, but again, it just adds that little bit of interest. And because I've already blended a little bit of the grapefruit colour onto there, it's now going to be tone on tone, so the colour is going to be really subtle, as you can see. But then if I layer that over the top, again, it just adds that little bit of interest, but it's gentle. Everything is gentle. If you're new to watching me, actually, you'll realise that it's very rare that I use big, bold colours in a really bold way. I struggle to make them work. I love the look of them and I love how other people do them, but I can't always get the look that I want from them. So I use a lot of colour, but I use it in a more subtle way and perhaps build up. So if you were perhaps to try this and do this in a really bold colourway, then I'd love to see it, because it's not something I'm particularly confident in doing myself. Sometimes I do. Sometimes I do get bold. I'd love to be. I really would love to be. And I think if I do bold colours, it's usually with cardstock. So that's, I think I might leave the blend in at that, actually. I'm going to sneeze in a second, I reckon. Oh, okay, no, it's gone. Okay, so I'm going to put the card together now. So I'm going to put this layer onto the front. I'm definitely going to do this idea again. I really like the way that that's come out. I really do. I think this could work for so many different layers of nesting dies. It's a really nice way to add something a different look to your layering stencils as well. Okay, so if we can layer this tulip together as well, and I think what I might do, I'm going to layer this in a 3D way. So I'm going to use some foam pads and put these petals together. That I think will work really nicely. How are we doing for time? Nearly there. Perfect. How are we all doing? You like the bubble wrap embossing folder? Yes, that's lovely as well. What's this? Go bold if you don't like it. So exactly. There is that to it as well, Hannah, isn't there? Just give it a go. Sometimes I can go bold. It depends on the colour. If it's bold in a colour that I like, then I'm more than happy to go with it. If it's bold with a red or something like that, then I really do struggle. Okay, so we have a nice layered. My hands look really red, but let me show you that there. Okay. And doesn't that work really well on there? That's so pretty. So the way I'm going to layer this, let's move this out of the way now. Let's have a see. And we can put our stem underneath. And let's see how many of the leaves that we need. I shall stick these down after. That looks really nice. These colours work so well together, don't they? Like I say, it's something that we really do need to brighten us up. I know we've got a couple of people in the US watching, and I don't know what your weather is like. Being British, we talk about the weather a lot, and we get so much rain that it really drives us mad. It's mainly because also we don't get the good weather to compensate for it, so we find that we never seem to be able to get outside. Okay, so how are we doing there? So I think I might leave that, try the tulip just like that. Again, I'm using the Smile from the Spellbinders set, which I think works really nicely on there. I've die cut that in a grey and layered that onto a white. Then I did use the Swift Dry ink, the Flint ink, to stamp some of the sentiments. So it might be a good way to you can either leave the card as it is and then wait until you have a reason to use the card, and then you can add one of the sentiments on afterwards. But I think that works really nicely on there. And I put birthday on there because it's Helen's birthday tomorrow. Helen, my sister. So that's a little happy birthday to Helen and a little tulip for her. So that has come together really well. It's the elements of it are all really busy, but I think if you use the right colours to either knock back and keep the background subtle, as I did with the stenciling, and then the embossing around the outside is also quite subtle, I think you can in effect have a lot going on a card, but not have all the elements overpower themselves. So that is the Spring Foliage, which again is on offer and will be retired, but do carry on using it, particularly if you have it in your set. We'd love to see what you're making with it. And it's a different way of using your nesting petals as well. But if you don't have the petals, perhaps give it a try with any other nesting sets that you may have, and I think that works really well. So I'll leave that with you there this afternoon. Thanks so much for joining me. I'm glad you all managed to find me in the end. It looks like some of you managed to get on to YouTube, but the majority, it looks like, are on Facebook. I'm not entirely sure why, but that's okay. Let's just I'll have a quick scroll through your comments, and if there's anything I need to answer, I shall put that on afterwards. Oh, we've got somebody from Oregon. Hi, Michelle from Oregon. Sorry, I didn't see you turn up there. And we have Sarah Henderson. Oh, there's quite a few people I don't recognise the name of, actually. So thanks so much for joining me. Anyway, I shan't get distracted any longer. I'll leave you to get back to your afternoon, and I shall see you all again next week. Take care, everyone.